Hi there, welcome to the Fierce Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee Lindholm. And I think it's time for us women to shift the conversation in business and step into our feminine leadership to do the most iconic work the aesthetic industry has ever seen. Each week, I'll be bringing a powerful dose of strategy, sarcasm, solutions, and sass that will rev up your creativity and ignite your brilliance as you link arms with me along our shared path of personal and professional growth in 20 minutes or less. Let's go. Well, hello. Welcome to the Fierce Factor podcast, the episode all about my parents. So why am I recording an episode about my parents? Here's the thing. On the heels of so much tragedy, uncertainty, and instability, I have been hearing stories upon stories of people who are really using this era as a life reset. And I had a conversation recently that took me back to losing my brother almost 5 years ago and really remembering those last 3 months with him. He was in the hospital after suffering from liver failure, which led to kidney failure. I was by his side almost every day. And we really grew closer in those 3 months than we had in my 3 decades of life with him. And I remember thinking how it seems strange that in some cases, the most honor and recognition someone receives in their life is typically when they pass, when they're no longer with us here on earth. We celebrate their life. We inspect their history. We draw connections to them we may have never recognized while they were here on earth. And every birthday milestone, we clink our glasses and toast to another year while we move along with our lives and daily habits. We get older and our life seems to tick away without notice. And I decided, however influential or impactful or momentous this type of episode would be, if I can do something to honor the people in my life who would truly love me no matter what I achieved, where I lived, who I married, how I spent my time, the same people who likely get the very least amount of recognition and praise for all they accomplished in life. And, at the same time, while honoring them, I could inspire one other person to really think about when's the last time they took a moment to really think about honoring the people that they care about the most in their life and really thinking about their business and how the person that they are and the things they do every day, the character that they've built, the personality, everything behind the human that they are comes from those people that are so important to them. And those people for me are my parents, Bo and Sue. And so I decided to do something interesting and interview myself on this week's podcast. And I'd love for you to ask yourself these same questions and pay honor to your parents and or the people who raised you, who love you unconditionally, and who cheer for your success without one bone of resentment or jealousy in their body. So without further ado, I'm going to just chug along on a few questions here about my parents and really take a minute to think about the impact and influence they've had on me and my life. So here we go. Question 1 is, tell me about your parents. So if you've ever used the term opposites attract, you've described my parents. My dad is a Samoan German football player, former NFL player. He played for the Rams in LA. He's an all athlete mentality, big personality. He's a guy's guy. He's very sharp, very witty, sense of humor. And my mom, she's an all Scandinavian, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, sweet and soft-spoken, although she does carry a big stick. She's got a little feisty in her once you get to know her. But on the outside, she's as sweet as pie, just big, big heart. She's a giver. She is the type that she values friendships. Many of her friends still to this day, she's known since she was a kid, maybe junior high, and have lifetime friends and really values relationships. So, they physically look very different, and in personality, they're both very different. But I can sort of see how certain attributes, blended together to create some of my own personalities. Question 2, tell me about your childhood. So I have great memories of my childhood. My mom worked in human resources doing payroll for a company that did oil production off the coast of Long Beach. My dad co-owned a business in the wire rope and rigging industry. And I have 2 older siblings from a previous marriage of my dad's, my half brother who passed, and an older half sister who's a CFO of a university now. And my mom and dad are still married, and together they have 3 daughters, me being the oldest, and then Tawny, who's 3 years younger than me. She is a big project manager for Nielsen and lives in Switzerland, and married to an Italian and has a cute little sweet Italian baby named Leonardo. And then Lene, who's 3 years younger than her, who I have interviewed on this podcast, who is a big-time general manager for In-N-Out Burger. And while my parents, thinking back to my childhood, they worked long hours. I was often the last kid at daycare after school. But I have really fond memories of days where my dad would come home early and take me to the park to practice soccer drills, go for a run, or do something athletic to train for my sport. We would rollerblade, play basketball, you name it. My dad was very much committed to helping me achieve my goals as an athlete. I fell in love with soccer since I was like 5. And while my dad didn't have any soccer experience, he would kind of learn or listen to the fundamentals, practice and help coach and train me through those exercises and drills. And I was a girl, even going into club soccer in junior high and high school, my teammates could drive. I remember them driving themselves to practice, and he would take me and sit and watch how I trained. And he wasn't the type of dad who would really analyze my games. He would analyze my practices, and he would challenge me to be the first in line and to be the hardest working and to have the best, most coachable attitude. And those were sort of the things we talked about when we would discuss my advancement in my sport. He was always there, practice, games, you named it, helped me advance into higher level club teams and Olympic development program, and then eventually get into college and earn my scholarship. But a lot of my interactions with my dad there were tons, but, revolved around soccer and around my desire to become more through that sport. And my parents demanded good grades, but really fostered an independent work environment. They held us to be responsible for our own results. So they would really give us freedom and flexibility to be autonomous in terms of you're going to do your own work, but you better get the grades, And they put most of their emphasis on effort. They asked for A's, but would occasionally accept a B as long as I had, excellent effort. So everything was really about family first. We were required to go to each other's games, attend all of the family get-togethers, and support each other no matter what. There was no blowing off a sister's soccer game for a slumber party. It just didn't happen. It was like if someone had something going on, everybody was there. All right, question 3. Are you more like your mom or your dad? My parents would laugh at this question because it's so obvious that I'm so much like my dad. My mom calls me Mini Bo. A lot of people do, actually. We're both highly driven, type A in work ethic, but also very social in personality and love people. We're empathetic and leaders by nature, fiercely loyal, also stubborn as hell. We don't take no for an answer. Other similarities, we like to vacation. And that means no itinerary, no agenda, no plan, just open space. So don't take me on vacation, or my dad's the same way, and tell me that we have there's an agenda. We literally both just want to chill and sit on the beach. And we're both extremely sarcastic and easily offend people. I don't know if that's a really positive trait, but it is what it is. Question 4, what do your parents think about you having your own business? Hey, they think it's great. But they also would think it was great if I was a kick-butt mom and didn't work at all. They really just support me and my siblings in any way that encourages us to do whatever makes us happy. They're not impressed by money. They're impressed by impact. They're impressed by pursuing our dreams with passion and integrity. And they're impressed by the imprint that we make on other people, on relationships. My dad would always say, you will be the most liked person in the room if you make everybody else feel like they're the most liked. Like he always is more interested in talking about the other person. And my mom is just all about people, all about relationships. And I think both of them feel like, hey, get up and do the best work every day and leave the world a better place than it was when you got there. So I think they're really proud of me. They're happy for me. I think they see how hard I work and my passion and belief behind what I do. And I think that they're proud of that, but I think that they're proud of anything. They'd be proud of anything I did. So, and question 5, if your parents were listening to this, what would you say to them? Well, this will be a good test to see if they actually listen to my podcast. Just kidding. I would say, Mom and Dad, thank you for being the most loving, supportive, wise, and caring people in my life. It was the undying discipline and commitment to growth that helped me develop the habits that I have today. And it was also the honest and open relationship that we have that has always made me feel supported no matter what. You have played the biggest part in my life and been a model for what's possible. You've also been humble enough to admit when you've made mistakes. I feel lucky every day that I have you both here, and I will always be a daddy's girl forever. I love you, Mom, too. And I hope to make you proud. And I will never let anyone get in the way of my dreams and tackling that next goal or tackling the goal of not having a goal. I don't know, whatever it is, whatever the dream is. And I will fiercely commit to making an impact and leaving the world a better place in your honor. And I love you. And I'm so glad that I have you here every single day. And the final question for my self-interview is, what advice would you give to anyone who is listening to this podcast? And I would say to you that if you have parents who are still here, thank them, take a moment to honor them, and show them how much you appreciate the advice, the life lessons, good or bad. Even the bad ones are good lessons, and the opportunities they gave you. And make a deeper commitment today to honor your parents with the life you are living, and remember how they have influenced you and the character you've developed that has made you the fierce individual that you are. All right, thanks for tuning in today. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Love you. Thank you for joining me for this episode of The Fierce Factor. If you enjoyed the show, please make sure you subscribe so you can automatically get new shows every week. I'd also love it if you left us a review. And come join the conversation online. If you're an aesthetic industry owner, operator, or leader, please join my free Facebook group, The Tribe of Fierce Aesthetic Leaders, a community of ambitious, purpose-driven professionals who collaborate and share best practices for growth in business and life. I'm honored you tuned in.